What are some common catalysts that would make oil stocks go up and down? Oh man, I mean the list is massive. Catalysts that would make the oil markets go up and down. I mean, listen, oil, the price of oil stocks will go up and down also depending on the price of oil. So you really got to focus on the price of oil when you're looking at oil stocks. What affects the price of oil? Supply and demand. Right now, you have a ton of demand and you have no supply. And that is why the price of oil is trading steadily over $100 a barrel, around 113, I think, last I checked. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I haven't taken a look at it now. So I don't remember where it is at this very moment. But last week we were around like we went underneath 100, then we went back to like 114, 113, 110. But we're steadily now just finding a new range above 100 on the price of oil. Things that could affect oil. Well, what affected oil on Friday? Friday, you had a missile attack on a Saudi Aramco oil facility, and there was a raging fire at a Saudi Aramco oil facility. Now, the reason why that caused the price of oil to spike when that missile attack happened in Saudi Arabia was because if that affects the supply coming out of Saudi Arabia, then that tightens an already extremely tight oil market. Okay, everything that was going on, even before Russia ever invaded Ukraine, we already had an extremely, extremely tight oil market where we had way too much demand and nowhere near enough supply. That's why oil prices and gas prices were steadily climbing well before Russia invaded Ukraine. This supply-demand issue was just exacerbated when Russia invaded Ukraine. It made things, 100 times worse. Now you get a missile attack on a Saudi Aramco facility, again, makes things worse. So it's really supply and demand. That's the biggest thing that you need to focus on when it comes to oil. If there's anything, and what caused oil to drop back beneath 100? Anybody know? Anybody know what caused oil to drop back beneath 100 2 weeks ago? I'll tell you. When China went back into a lockdown, they closed down Shenzhen because of a big COVID spike. I'm going to sneeze. I'm sorry, guys, ahead of time, but I feel it coming. I'm definitely going to sneeze at some point here. But that's what caused oil to drop back under 100 because everyone thought, okay, well, if China's going to go back into a COVID lockdown, but what happens when China goes into lockdown? Demand for oil. What happens to demand in China? It drops, right? So there's going to be a drop in demand for oil when China goes into a lockdown. So when Shenzhen went into a lockdown, you saw a huge drop in the price of oil, went back all the way down underneath 100. Okay, so again, supply and demand, whatever could affect demand for oil, whatever could affect supply of oil. And why did oil go negative in 2020? Why did oil go negative? Oil went negative a couple of years ago during COVID because the entire economy was closed. So the entire economy is closed. There's what demand for oil? Virtually nada, zip, nothing. Nobody's driving, nobody's flying, no one's going on their boats, nothing. So there was no demand for oil. And that's when oil actually went negative. So you've got to look at supply and demand. What are catalysts that can affect supply and demand of oil? That'll affect oil price. That'll affect oil stock prices.